촬영 준비하고 있는데 벌써 저까지 가는 거야.
네, 열 엄청 받았어요. 네.
얄궂은 시기야.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Diaries channel. Since early morning, the fandom's timeline has been abuzz with a simple sentence, spoken casually, but it instantly sent the entire Jikook community into a frenzy. A radio show that initially seemed like a normal broadcast suddenly turned into a moment that reignited all the theories, hopes, and analyses fans had been building up. Jungkook and Jimin's names were mentioned again in the same breath, and as usual, that small spark quickly turned into an unstoppable fire. Was this true? Were they indirectly implying that they would be traveling to Japan together? And more importantly, how did they convey it so that the entire fandom agreed that something was indeed happening? It all started when the radio host asked a simple question about their plans for the end of the year. But Jungkook's answer had fans replaying the clip over and over again, scrutinizing his intonation, his gestures, and even the pause after the sentence. Jungkook didn't mention Jimin directly, but the way he slipped in a cryptic phrase that seemed only understandable to those closely following their relationship led many to question whether he was intentionally dropping a teaser. He said he might visit Japan again soon, then impulsively chuckled before adding that he wouldn't be going alone. It was right after the phrase "not alone" that the fandom exploded. Because more than once, whenever Jungkook says he's not alone, it always leads to something involving Jimin, either explicitly or implicitly. And today's radio broadcast seemed to repeat the same pattern. Even the host smiled, as if understanding what was happening, or at least realizing that Jungkook's statement would be misinterpreted by the fandom. But that small expression only made things feel even more suspicious. Shortly after the radio broadcast, fans began at lightning speed connecting this information to Jimin's activities over the past few days. From the suddenly cheerful Weverse post to the live broadcast that felt too short and too evasive, everything came back to one interpretation. Jimin was preparing something. And now, when Jungkook suddenly brought up Japan, the part of the fandom that had long suspected the two of them had a habit of going to Japan together sprang into action. They compared schedules, calculated the time, and looked for any new patterns that might strengthen the theory that this was the moment they would secretly travel together. What made things even more interesting was the fact that Jimin, in a separate interview last week, also said he wanted to return to Japan because he felt comfortable there. He mentioned the food, the atmosphere, and the sense of calm he found every time he visited Japan. But fans who have long followed their relationship know that Japan is more than just a casual destination. It's the place where some of Jungkook's most iconic moments took place. From mysterious vacations to rumors of them being seen together off-camera, Japan has become a symbolic country for their relationship. So when Jungkook and Jimin talked about Japan so close together, it was hard not to sense that something was afoot. The radio broadcast clip was then transcribed, retranslated by various fanbase accounts, and scrutinized word for word, and each version only further strengthened the belief that Jungkook's statement wasn't just a slip of the tongue. His tone sounded like someone who wanted to say something but was holding back so as not to make it too obvious. Even some usually skeptical fans acknowledged that the moment felt different this time. Jungkook is usually straight to the point. If he wants to say he's going for a walk, he does. But today his tone was different, read one comment, which went on to receive thousands of likes. There was something in the way he held back, in the way he chuckled, as if he knew the fans would go wild. Meanwhile, Jimin seemed to be giving a hint in a much more subtle way. In his latest post, he wore an outfit that, according to some fans, was similar to the one he wore on a vacation in Japan with Jungkook several years ago. Photo comparisons began to emerge, some pointing out similarities in color, hairstyle, and even small, familiar accessories. While this might seem over the top to outsiders, for a fandom that has followed Jungkook's patterns for years, small things like that can be a signal. And the most interesting part? Jimin looked incredibly happy. In that post, it was like someone was keeping a secret that wasn't yet open to the public. The radio broadcast also made many people recall an incident a few days earlier when Jungkook seemed to avoid answering questions about whether he had plans to meet Jimin. He didn't deny it, but he didn't confirm it either. And that reaction, again, felt overly cautious for someone who is usually so outspoken. It was as if they were planning something, but it wasn't yet time to discuss it openly.
지민이 형? 졸려서 가긴 갔는데 내가 봤을 때 무조건 게임해.
On the other hand, fans who were especially attentive to details noticed that both of their schedules appeared empty around the same time sometime next week. There were no public schedules for Jimin, and Jungkook simply mentioned that he would be focusing on personal activities. 2 empty schedules at such close intervals for 2 people with such busy schedules? Hardly a coincidence. And now, after the radio broadcast, the entire fandom timeline is filled with speculation. Some have created lengthy threads with evidence suggesting they might be going to Japan together. Others have even created video edits comparing their patterns over the past few years. What was most interesting were the confident comments, suggesting that this wasn't just a coincidence or an empty theory. This time, fans truly felt the vibe was different. There was something real, something that felt like a subtle confession without actually admitting it. Even the way the radio show rebroadcast Jungkook's segment several times on their platform added to the air of suspicion. It was as if they knew this was the part the public would talk about. And sure enough, each replay only made fans more convinced. This was especially true when several local media outlets began quoting Jungkook's statement and connecting it to rumors of a private trip to Japan that had previously surfaced in the fan community. Meanwhile, comments from live radio listeners further strengthened their suspicions. Some said that Jungkook's expression changed when the topic of Japan came up. He seemed cheerful, but also a little nervous, like someone who had accidentally spilled the beans. That small reaction, for Jungkook's fans, was no small matter, and a large part of the excitement stemmed from the fact that Jimin and Jungkook have always had a dynamic that's hard to explain. Whenever one of them says something seemingly unrelated, it usually ties into the other. It happens so often that now, when moments like this occur, the fandom no longer considers them coincidences. They feel as if they're seeing the same pattern repeat itself, a pattern that suggests a much deeper closeness than what appears on the surface. Are they really going to Japan together? Ultimately, that's a question that still has no definitive answer. But what's clear is that today's radio broadcast has created a huge wave in the fandom, a wave filled with emotion, hope, curiosity, and a bit of Jikook's signature craziness. And for now, fans are more than satisfied with the sweet signals being dropped. Because for the Jikook fandom, little things like this are the fuel that keeps them going and keeps them believing that their relationship always holds more meaning than meets the public eye. One thing is for sure, whatever Jungkook said today, he has opened a new chapter in the long journey of Jikook theories. And if this rumor is true, that they're going to Japan together, then fans are already gearing up for another story that will rekindle the romance, mystery, and closeness that have always characterized their relationship. Until then, the fandom will continue to wait, analyze, and watch their every move. As always, thank you for watching until the end. And as always, you guys are amazing. If you have any theories, opinions, or want to add any details I might have missed, feel free to leave them in the comments. I always read them all, and you know what? Your theories are often crazier and more accurate than anything that appears on my timeline. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest Jikook updates, in-depth analysis, and all the little moments that may seem ordinary but always have meaning when it comes to Jimin and Jungkook. See you in the next video. Stay safe, stay happy, and as always, this is Jikook Diaries, a place where every detail matters, every smile has a story, and every code, well, we always talk about it together. See you all.